Dark Souls. I have played Dark Souls. Finally, I can say that. I've played the game, I have finished it, I have conquered it, and now it is time for me to research outside of the game what was going on, because I had no idea. Well, I had some idea, but today we are trying to make sense of my theories and other people's research. So today that is what we're going to be doing. It was highly requested that I watch some of Vati's videos on Dark Souls, so we'll be doing that. But this is someone else's content and is someone else's research, so please make sure that you click on Vati's video because they are the original creator. And, you know, this is all someone else's research and hard work. So please watch the original video. I feel kind of weird about reaction videos. I'm still not 100% sure about them, but I would have just watched this in my own time anyway. And so many people asked to see my thoughts about it. And yeah, I'm not ready to let go of Dark Souls just yet. So I loved the game. I loved playing it. I thought it was great. And I really want to understand what's going on. So, okay, so here's how I viewed the story of Dark Souls. We woke up in a jail. I don't know why we were there. I would like to know why we were there. My kind of assumptions are that this world of Lordaeron is kind of like the afterlife. There's a world out there that's completely normal, and then when they die, there's a curse that they never actually truly die, and they get locked in a sort of limbo, which is the land of Lordaeron. So people aren't quite dead and they aren't quite living, and that's why we keep coming to life after we die. And I think all the NPCs and everyone we fought and we killed them, they just go back to where they started their journey, that we didn't actually destroy them. When we steal the souls, like the soul boss souls, they then can't be revived, so they're now just dead and gone permanently. We escape our cell. A bird comes and sweeps us away, and we seem to be following a kind of like story or a legend about a chosen undead. We know what we have to do, ring the 2 bells, and we are just plodding along happily, merrily, fulfilling that prophecy, either by happy accident or design. I guess because the undead is such a blank canvas, you yourself are able to decide if the character is doing this kind of obliviously, or if they are like, yes, I'm fulfilling my destiny. So yeah, I think it's left deliberately ambiguous because of that. That's my theory there. And then we are told to collect the Lord Souls to light the flame, to then become Lord Gwyn's successor. Here's where I get really confused and hazy. There was something weird going on in Anor Londo, so I would like to know about that because I have no idea. I managed to reveal that Guinevere was a phantom, like she wasn't real. I don't really understand why. And if I think about it, she's the one that gave us the Lord Vessel. So that's really weird. So who actually wanted to give us the Lord Vessel if she was a vision? It was Gwendolyn, who I just turned up and murdered in my playthrough. Okay, I'm getting confused. This is the part where I don't fully understand. And again, maybe it's left ambiguous deliberately. I've definitely missed a lot of little lore pieces and little nuggets of information. So I'm very excited to watch this video, but that is the basic kind of thing that I understood from the world and my own like internal assumptions and theories. Something fishy is going on in Anor Londo. We just became Lord Gwyn's successor at the end. Oh, and by relighting the fire, we somehow lift the curse, maybe, of being permanently undead, so then people can actually die. All of Vati's videos were so highly requested. They're obviously a really great creator and very well respected in the Souls community. So thank you so much, Vati, for your videos, and I am about to watch them. I feel like that's enough rambling to begin with, huh? So we are going to start with Dark Souls lore explained. So let's begin.
After you finish a Souls game,
I have finished a Souls game.
Why am I on fire? What's the point of locking myself in this cave? Which ending is the right one? And of course, the age.
Oh. Are these things from Dark Souls 2 and 3? Maybe. Okay, that's fine. It might just be nice to go into Dark Souls 3 with a little bit of extra knowledge in my brain to try and make sense of the story as it unfolds, because I was just happily plodding along in Dark Souls, just not really knowing what was going on, but still having a great time. So it might be nice to have a different experience, so I don't mind too much.
And of course, the age-old question, why do they call him Big Hat Logan? First, let's start with the player character.
Yes,
Who
please.
is the chosen undead?
Oh,
They are who you make them. Whether you were a thief or a knight, from Astora or Katarina, it doesn't matter. What's important is that you ended up in a cell at the right place and the right time. For you head to Lordran in accordance with an old legend that speaks of a mission for a chosen undead hero. This legend is, by the way, most likely a deception by the gods, probably designed to lure powerful heroes to Lordran, but we'll get to that later. Is there a
Oh, get to it now. That sounds very, very interesting. That's what I want to know about. Okay, I like this so far. I'm on board with this. This is kind of confirming what I already had in my brain to begin with. I like this. I'm so excited to watch this. Is there a world outside Lordran? Please tell me. Is there?
world outside Lordran? Lordran is just the land of the gods, and there is a wider world of man with many more countries therein. The fate of the world largely revolves around Lordran, though, so we never go to these other places. But the characters we do meet in Lordran often hail from these foreign countries, and you can tell that they've been designed to be accurate characterizations of their homelands. What you're seeing on screen are the results of an art competition to depict these foreign places. So check out.
Oh, whoa, they are awesome. I'm checking them out right now. It never actually occurred to me when I was playing the game that the people I was meeting were hailed from different places, even though they said, like, where was Solaire from? Astora? What's wrong with me? I just thought it was a fancy title. But of course it makes sense that they're from different places. I would love to go visit Katarina, where Siegmeyer is from, because he was very jolly. And the people there must be lovely. Which would be nice. Be a nice change from the grumpy UK. Right. Carry on.
Video if you're interested, and subscribe to see the next competition really soon. How did this world come to be? Originally, the world had no disparity. Everything was just rock, from the land to the trees to the dragons. It was homogeneous, static, without beginning or end. Then, similar to the Big Bang, fire suddenly came to exist, and it disrupted this eternal monotony. Now, there wasn't just existence, but there were states of existence. Heat and cold, light and dark, life and death. The result was a rock universe gradually changing into the world as you see it in-game, including its overabundance of souls. What is a soul?
The narration for the intro of Dark Souls was incredible. I love her voice so much. Please, please, please tell me she comes back for another game, because her voice was divine. Light and dark, life and death. I don't even know if that's what she says. Totally forgotten. Tell me what a soul is, please.
When fire came to be and permeated the universe, so did souls. Thus, the soul is the power of disparity itself. They are the means by which the first flame changed the universe, and paradoxically, they are both the fuel and the byproduct of that fire. Similar to in Demon Souls, a soul gives you clarity, allowing you to think, but also life, allowing you to be. And just as there are all kinds of life, there are all kinds of souls, of various shapes, sizes, and magical affinities. Many bosses are these special beings with special souls, and the most powerful beings are the lords, bearing Lord Souls. Who are the lords, and what is a Lord Soul? The four lords are the first kings. They were all attracted to the first flame, having only ever known darkness before coming upon it. Each one discovered this massive concentration of Disparity's power near the flame, which they then used to establish a kingdom under their rule. Thus, these massive souls are called Lord Souls. Of these four souls, Karth tells us that the pygmy found the Dark Soul, and it follows that the other lords.
Who? Who that? A character in Dark Souls? A primordial serpent? Just like King Seeper Frampt. Where the hell were you? I didn't see you anywhere. What? Wait. He looks cool. Where do you find him? Karth is a primordial serpent, but his intentions are very different from those of Frampt. He's the leader of the Dark Thrays and wants to see the furtive pygmies' plan come to fruition by recruiting undeads with the dark sign so they can become the new Dark Lord, heralding the Age of Dark. It's implied that he was the one who manipulated the people of Ulasil to awaken Manus and offered the art of life drain to the four kings of New Londo, making him indirectly responsible for both Ulasal's and New Londo's destruction. Damn! Damn! Karth can be found near the Abyss bonfire after you defeated the four kings, provided that you haven't yet placed the Lord Vessel on the Firelink altar. Whoa, so if you played the game in a totally different order, so I needed to find my way to the Abyss before doing anything to be able to find him? That's crazy. How many people stumbled into him on their first playthrough? Please let me know, because I feel like I would have found that near impossible. Anyway, let us carry on.
That the other Lord Souls all aligned with the other aspects of disparity. So in contrast, Gwyn found the Light Soul, Nito found the Death Soul, and the Witch of Izalith found the Life Soul. These souls came to define them, and they would soon ally together to challenge the everlasting dragons.
That information about Karth has blown my mind. God, that's so interesting that there's another serpent, and I had no idea. I had no idea, and I played the whole game and I beat it, and I had no clue. What is an everlasting dragon? Tell me.
What is an everlasting dragon? So they're a part of the original race of dragons that predate life itself. Much like there are wyverns and worms, there are also ancient dragons, or archdragons as later games coin it. Their race is the progenitor to all other dragon subspecies, and these are subspecies that adapted really well to a new world and new environments. You still face some archdragons in-game, but these archdragons never are the original generation of archdragons that actually predate fire. The ancient dragons are commonly described as everlasting, thanks to their stone scales of undeath granting them immortality. However, when Gwyn learned that his bolts of lightning could peel apart those scales, the lords used their full might to hunt down the archdragons to nigh extinction, ushering in the Age of Fire.
So this initial bit is describing the narration at the beginning of the game, but just in much more detail for me to understand, which is quite nice. Lord Gwyn had bolts of lightning, like Zeus. Why didn't he use them on me when we were fighting? It's also interesting that they wanted to hunt down the dragons. Thus they created the Age of Fire. Tell me about the Age of Fire.
What is the Age of Fire? It's the era you find yourself in. It was sparked when the lords defeated the archdragons, and even as far back as them finding their lord souls could be denoted as the dawn or beginning of the Age of Fire. So what follows is this period dominated by the lords. Much of this epoch is also denoted as the Age of Gods, since the three lords residing in Lordran with their fellow deities are on the rise or at their zenith during it. However, this golden age can only continue so long as fire at the source of the god's power remains strong. Eventually, fire will fade, and only darkness will remain. This, quote, is what Karth describes as the logic of the world. And when that happens, the gods are supposed to be replaced, and their Age of Fire is supposed to become an Age of Dark. In the original Dark Souls, you find yourself at this crossroad. The first flame is about to go out. Even now, its power is barely reaching the world of man. And what follows is a proverbial night. And in this twilight era, the undead curse runs rampant.
What? So, Guinevere's form, this illusion was created, and she gave me the Lord Vessel and told me it is my destiny to fill it and become the Lord of Fire, or whatever it was, the Fire Lord Ozai. But it was all the trick because they wanted to remain in power and keep the Age of Fire going. So if I had found Karth and he had explained that to me, God, that would have been so interesting. Right, and then at the end of my playthrough, I kept it going. So it's natural for fire to fade, but they're trying to manipulate us or anyone, any undead to come forth, and we just feel like we're chosen to just keep their power going. That's so cool. Damn. Okay, got it. I just spilled water down me. God damn it. I'm a baby. Anyway, what is the undead curse? Please let me know.
Okay, so what is the undead curse? Ever since the first flame began to wane, a dark ring of fire has manifested upon the bodies of certain humans, a sign of the dark burgeoning within them. This dark sign marks you as an ageless immortal, though your endless revival comes at the cost of your own souls and sanity until you eventually hollow.
I totally forgot about people going hollow. I totally forgot about that. How could I forget about that? Okay, this makes way more sense. That eventually they're revived so much that you lose your mind. Goddamn, this story is awesome. I love Dark Souls. Anyway, what caused the curse?
Undead curse? This question is at the very heart of this series, and the answer is really quite complex. You'll have a better time with this though if you're familiar with all three games.
Ooh. God damn, but I really want to know. He did say I'll have a better time with it if I'm familiar with all three games, so do I skip this question? Let me ask a friend. Phone home. Okay.
So when the world first began, a creature called the Pygmy found the Dark Soul. Who they were isn't known, nor is it really important. What is important is that they split the Dark Soul into fragments, and these fragments came to be known as humanity, which is a small black spirit found within every human. Karth refers to the furtive Pygmy as your ancestor. Thus, we are descended from one of the four lords.
Okay, this is making so much more sense because there's so much in the game like humanity. I was just like, oh, okay, this is just what sets us apart from everything else. It's like we possess humanity, and it's so nice to hear its origins.
These games frequently question whether the dark force within humans is a positive or a negative thing. Your adventure through Ulasil in the Artorias of the Abyss DLC is a great example of that. Here, the darkness within man has gone wild. It's endlessly consuming and corrupting the land and the souls of people around it. And yet, there is dialogue here that's supposed to give you pause.
I still think on that creature from the abyss that preyed upon me. My faculties were far from lucid, but I quite clearly sensed certain emotions. A wrenching nostalgia, a lost joy, an object of obsession, and a sincere hope to reclaim it. Could these thoughts belong to the beast from the abyss? But if that were true, then perhaps it is no beast after all.
I don't remember her saying this. I must have missed it.
This same duality is seen in the descriptions of dark magic, which are spells that are often driven by powerful emotions. Positive things like love and calm, or negative things like hate and envy. But whether it's positive or negative, Gwyn's pantheon fears the dark. For one day, as we mentioned earlier, their age of fire is going to end, and only dark will remain. This was the logic of the world, until Gwyn committed the first sin, and he shackled the darkness within man.
But isn't the second game called Scholar of the First Sin or something? Wait a second, what? There's Dark Souls 2 and Scholars of the First Sin, they're different? Bloody hell, which one do I play? What? A remaster. Scholar of the First Sin is a technical revision. High resolution textures, significantly improved lighting effects, and reworked enemy placement. Oh my god! What do I play then? Great. A dilemma for future Amber. How about that? Okay, this might get spoilery now, but we're gonna watch. I'm too invested. I'm too
Gwyn
interested.
committed the first sin, and he shackled the darkness within man.
Okay.
This was a revelation we received in the Ringed City DLC, where the seal of fire around darkness on the dark sign was finally explicitly stated to be a creation of the gods. So,
Ooh.
for some, like Manus in the first DLC, repression of their humanity causes it to writhe and go mad. However,
Oh.
the seal of fire was placed upon mankind so early in their existence that, for most people, their shackles are all that they know. As a result, and this is really important, humankind end up living their lives through souls that they hold completely separate from the humanity that's within them. You only have to
Ooh.
look to the white souls of adventurers that you find in-game as proof of that. Living like this is the lie that Aldia talked about in Dark Souls 2.
That's why we can pick them
men
up.
trust fully the illusion of life.
Okay.
But is this so wrong? A construction, a facade, and yet a world full of warmth and scandals. Young Hollow, are you intent on shattering the yoke, spoiling this wonderful falsehood?
But in retrospect, the most chilling dialogue Aldia has was this.
Once, the Lord of Light banished dark and all that stemmed from humanity. And men assumed a fleeting form.
We're
Writes
led
this.
to believe that the dark sign cursed humanity with undeath, but Aldia's dialogue means this can't be true. Instead, Aldia says mankind's lives became fleeting when they were branded with the dark sign. So this means that they
Whoa.
were originally immortals, and indeed this is
What?
the state that you return to when you hollow. What is hollowing? Humanity
Whoa.
once stood proud within every human, but when the curse was put upon them, humanity
Okay.
became bound, lost, and repressed. So during this age of fire, humanity came to rely heavily on their white soul for
separate
their sense
soul.
of self, and we can see this
Right.
in the names of these souls. When fire fades, the seal of fire restraining the dark grows weaker. Thus, when fire fades, it follows that our dark soul starts to break free, consuming the white soul that we've come to believe is the self, and this process of losing the self is called hollowing. Dying or losing heart, it accelerates this process. So, an undead must maintain physical and mental fortitude in order to resist this process.
Oh my
However, as you might
god.
remember, the Hollows of Londor in Dark Souls 3 believe that their hollow states are really the most honest shape of man. This isn't
They
an
look
easy
cool.
truth to face, especially since the Dark Soul has become this ravenous, repressed thing. To stay sane as a Hollow, one may need to drain the life of others, and the Hollows of Londor are universally reviled as a result of this.
Whoa.
Ultimately, it just
They look
leaves you
awesome.
wondering whether this is really the best path for mankind, or whether it's better
Yeah.
to just accept the shackles of the gods, or whether humanity's fate has been stolen by the curse, either way.
Wow. That's so interesting. I completely forgot about hollowing in my theorizing at the start of this video about us being permanently undead and not able to die. There is a release and it's hollowing, and I totally forgot about it. But I saw it as such a negative thing, and we've been made to think it's such a negative thing. God, that's interesting. Looking forward to finding out what that was all about with Dark Souls 3, but because I haven't played it, and Dark Souls 2, I'm not entirely sure there what is going on. Anyway, how do we cure the undead curse? Tell me.
How do we cure the undead curse? Well, curse is an actual affliction, just like poison or toxin. You can experience its build-up in-game, and what this
Yeah.
curse does is it locks the dark soul away from the self. It's really about the barrier, it's about the separation, and the Dark Sigil explains this. It says that as humanity leaks out, the curse accumulates in exchange. Unfortunately, humans are helpless against curses, and all we can do is redirect their influence. For example,
Ooh.
when you use a purging stone, what you're doing is not actually curing the curse, you're actually just transferring the curse to this stone, and this stone
Oh.
was or is another person. In the original Dark Souls, we
What?
do something similar to this process called reverse hollowing. So this is a process that requires you to have a humanity. And it's easy
Yeah.
to assume that we're just absorbing the humanity and restoring our humanity, but what's actually happening here is kind of the opposite. Yes, a humanity sprite is taken into the self, but
Yeah.
it then acts as a sort of surrogate for the curse, like a purging stone does, and remember, we offer this humanity up to the bonfire. This keeps our white, regular soul safe, and it prevents us from going hollow. Further proof of this dynamic exists in Dark Souls 2, where using a human effigy is just like transferring your curse to a human surrogate. And in Dark Souls 3, we found the Purging Monument, which is this enormous vessel that's overflowing with
I'm kind of not listening, don't worry. My mind is still blown. Oh my god, I did just assume that reversing the hollow was a good thing. Really thought this was all going to be like guesswork, but this is so clear and awesome and cool and makes so much sense and it's so interesting. Oh, it's made me love the game more. It makes me kind of want to replay it with this in mind now, like actually knowing what's going on. And do the other ending. Whoopsies. Okay, why did the gods curse humanity? I mean, I can guess now why they did that, but let's listen to what he
Why did the
says.
gods curse humanity? So the logic of the world denotes that fire will fade and only dark will remain. Naturally, Gwyn feared this and managed to enforce a fleeting form upon humanity. The fate of mankind became irreversibly linked to fire, and thus the logic of the world was changed forever.
Screw you, man. Look at him. What a sneaky son of a bitch. What did I even just say? I don't know. Huh. That's what I got to say to you, Lord Gwyn. What is the fire linking?
What is the fire linking? It's a ritual for preserving the first flame. With the decline of fire and the rise of the dark and undeath, the gods were thrown into disarray, and the Lord's peaceful relations ultimately collapsed. Before things broke down, however, they concocted a plan to revive the first flame with a powerful soul, cultivated through firekeepers and undead bonfires. This soul would link itself to the fire, and the fire would inherit a new fuel. So Gwyn was the first to link the fire, and many others have taken up that role since then. What is a bonfire? It's your safe haven. Undead bonfires are fueled by the bones of your own kind, and they're connected to the first flame as a part of a network through coiled swords. The heat that their flames produce heal our injuries and can be collected in a liquid form called Estus. As for warping, light is tied to time in this series, so...
What did it just say about Estus down the bottom? Note, Estus is likely derived from the Latin word aestus, which means heat or hearth. Probably is derived from that then, huh?
As for warping, light is tied to time in this series, so you can reason that a bonfire's light allows you to warp across time and space to other bonfires in the network. Bonfires and their firekeepers promote undead reliance upon fire, and they promote fire's reliance upon undead. Thus, the gods are almost certainly behind their creation. As for who went out and placed them in the world, it's hard to say, but it seems like they can be placed anywhere where there are undead bones, since we create one ourselves in Firelink Shrine, and even in early versions of the game, you were supposed to be able to place them yourself. However, it's important to remember that bonfires are primarily a checkpoint mechanic, and gameplay can't always be explained away by lore. You might think that all undead respawn at the bonfire just like you do, but they don't. According to the Crestfallen Merchant, what actually happens is that undead will lay dead for a while and then later rise where they fell.
Wow,
What is a firekeeper? They're a woman who acts as the living incarnation of a bonfire in order to preserve its flame. So long as the firekeeper lives, so too does her corresponding bonfire, and vice versa. These women are thus vessels for the countless humanity that is offered to the bonfire, which means that they receive the dark spirits along with the effects of the curse in the transfer. The humanity wriggles beneath their skin, nipping at body and soul, and this causes great pain and horrific scarring, though not at extremities like the head or the hands. Firekeepers bear this suffering so that you can benefit from the bonfire, and it's through them, and by extension the bonfires, that you can strengthen your soul with whatever traits you desire. So be sure to always thank your oh shit.
Oh man, I almost did that to Elizabeth the Mushroom and to the doll in Bloodborne. But it wasn't me dropping it was me just deliberately placing my controller on the desk and then the trigger gets hit. That's so funny. What a funny joke to put in. I should have known something fishy was going on because our firekeeper was just sat in jail. She was in jail and she wasn't allowed to speak. I thought her tongue had been cut out or something. And then it was only after we revived her and helped her that she spoke to us. I should have known. Should have known that all this fire business was fishy and disturbing from just the way they treated the women. Okay. Okay. What is a god? Do explain.
Well, they're really whatever humans believe a deity to be. In most cases, the gods refers to members of Gwyn's pantheon, since they're the most widely worshipped in the world of man. But even those cast out, like Gwyn's firstborn, are still called a war god, simply because some people still worship them as such. However, just being worshipped doesn't mean that you have power. An example of this is Faris, who humans retroactively deified as the goddess of the hunt Evlana in Dark Souls 2. She was just a heroic bowwoman, but her story got twisted over the years until she became a god. People get kind of hung up on the god term because they're trying to define the race of beings that carry power in the series. For most of these characters, I quite like the term medial, which is a term proposed by Loki. What are medials? Well, many of the gods' followers and descendants aren't human, gods or giants, so we kind of have to make up a term for these beings. Medials is good. In terms of size, they're often between humans and giants, and these are beings like the daughters of Izalith, or Priscilla, and so on. What are the dead? The dead are corpses that decay without the power of life sustaining them. However, some, like skeletons, are often a product of necromancy, and there's evidence that others, like the ghosts of New Londo, become warped by the strong, lingering emotions of the deceased.
Oh, were they holding a baby? That's scary.
Anything that can be loosely classified as a monster is called a demon, really. In most cases, though, demons refers to chaos demons who were born of the flame of chaos. But there are also Titanite demons, and Dark Souls 2 introduces covetous and smelter demons, as well as the song. It's a common argument that a demon in Dark Souls is a chimeric creature bearing the traits of multiple animals, but this isn't a given. What could be called crow demons are actually called crowmen or corvians. There are also snake men, maggot men, and lion men, all of whom are never called demons. Like with gods, the term is somewhat arbitrary. Basically, a demon is whatever humans would consider to be a monster. What is chaos?
Okay.
Chaos is the nature of fire and life. Life is rooted in the soul. The soul is a product of fire's disparity. Therefore, life, like disparity, is chaotic. The Witch of Izalith found the Lord Soul that represents this, and she tried creating her own fire of life to match that of the first flame. Unfortunately, this sparked a flame of chaos, which creates and transforms new, often grotesque forms of life. These became known as the Chaos Demons, and they threatened Gwyn's rule. So you'll notice that they're stamped out at every turn in all chapters of this series. The Witch of Izalith's yearning for flame became the basis for pyromancy, and pyromancy is one of her strongest surviving legacies.
Wow, it's weird seeing the bed of chaos like this, because you can see the arms upright and you can see there's actually a figure there. That fight was so chaotic that I just thought the branches going everywhere. I could see they were supposed to be hands brushing us, but it's really interesting seeing it upright like this and being like, oh, it is a being, because it was just like a bowl of spaghetti to me in my brain. when I was in that boss fight. What is pyromancy then? Because that is fire. Like they manipulate fire, do they not? Tell me.
What is pyromancy? Pyromancy is a physical form of magic. Pyromancers carry along with them a piece of flame that's passed down
Okay.
from teacher to student, stretching
Okay.
all the way back to the witch and her daughters, deriving the art from chaos and sharing that with the humans.
Okay.
Pyromancers then use that flame to conjure their spells, and despite the name, pyromancy isn't actually limited to casting fire, and it can actually conjure all kinds of elements like iron or poison, but these are rarer arts, since pyromancy is a religion that reveres flame. Just so, you can manifest
Yeah.
pyromancies like miracles with your faith, or actually even learn to perform them like sorceries with your intelligence. What is sorcery? It's a mental form of magic. Sorcerers study the natural laws of the world to actually comprehend what they are and how they function. They then use this knowledge to manipulate their power and formulate the process as spells, which we call sorcery. They're basically magic scientists and academics, and there are sorceries from anything from souls to light to the dark of the abyss.
I'm glad it's explaining this to me because pyromancy, sorcery, miracles, they all sounded so similar. I was just like, this is just like a magic build, but what's the difference? So this is nice hearing this. And to now go into Dark Souls 2, I would really like to do some sort of magic build. I still don't really know which one. Someone suggested Hex to me and it sounded really interesting. So if they explain that in this and it convinces me, I might be convinced to do it.
What are miracles? They're a spiritual form of magic. You
Ooh.
cast miracles by reciting legendary stories, which either feature the spell in question or embody what the miracle manifests. Most miracles are thereby based on the power of the Anor Londo gods, but there are also dark miracles and hexes that achieve similar results. Your faith in the story's truth makes it a reality. What is the Abyss? It's the power of the dark, and whether that's a pitch-black void, like the Realm of the Four Kings, a viscous dark swamp, like in the Ringed City, or a malformed pus, like the creatures of Lothric, the Abyss can manifest from any humanity,
that's crazy.
and it produces new life or twists old life into new forms. The Abyss is commonly unstable, and like with Manus in Ulasil, it can go wild, devouring and corrupting the souls of every other form of life. But it was not always this way. The gods placed a curse upon the Abyss, and while humans have largely lost connection with it, there are multiple sources that suggest the Abyss can offer great comfort to humankind. However, it appears that path was lost when the Abyss was banished, and now it simply hungers.
Damn gods putting a curse on it. Trying to cut us off from anything we like. Us humanity. Okay, I don't know what Black Flame is, and I don't know what the Deep is, so I might just skip that. Why is time convoluted? Why is everything in the world hostile to me? What is the painted world? What is the meaning of each ending? I'll obviously skip some there. Let's see, why is time convoluted? And why is everything hostile to me? And why is the painted world? And then the endings for Dark Souls, and we'll call it a day there. How about that?
Why is time convoluted? With the first flame waning, the power of light also fades, and since light is related to time, the flow of time has stagnated in a land where the flame is located. Due to this instability, time spaces known as other worlds can randomly intersect here, and this allows you to briefly meet people from long before your timeline. And with the help of magic, you can cross the gaps between worlds, usually as
that would explain Ulasil being able to go back in time there, perhaps the painted world.
Why is everything in the world hostile to me? After watching this video, you'll enjoy my video talking about all the bosses of Dark Souls 3 if you've played it. I'll just list a bunch of reasons on screen though, because every enemy does have a reason for attacking you after all. Except Priscilla. I mean, why did you hurt her? That's actually really fucked up. What?
I didn't, but I want to see the reasons. They are a wild animal or a rampaging monster. Fair. You have invaded their territory and possibly killed their servants. Fair. They are the creation of someone else and mindlessly follow their will. Fair. You are an impediment to their own personal goals. They are for some reason scared and assume you're anyone a threat. You want something from them that they will never willingly give you. They are a trial step for you to overcome as part of the filing king. You accidentally put down your controller and thumbs at you. That's a funny joke.
What is the painted world? The first painting we're introduced to is the painted world of Ariamis, which is hung in an Orlando. It was a place to hide all the things that the gods feared, and so it's filled with many references to sin and the occult.
Ooh.
In the Ashes of Ariandel DLC...
La 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 la. We skip now. What is the meaning of each ending?
What is the meaning of each ending? So, in Dark Souls, you're presented with two choices after you defeat the Lord of Cinder. Either you inherit the fire and join the line of succession,
This is why I did.
preserving the current world order, or you
Regret
leave
now.
the fire to die without fuel, allowing the universe to reach its natural
I
conclusion.
should have done that.
By becoming a Lord of Cinder, you sacrifice yourself to restore the light. By becoming a Dark Lord, you choose to lead mankind into a new dark age with an uncertain future. In Dark Souls 2...
La 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 la. Here's where we end the video. I try my best to avoid spoilers. Oh man. What an amazing video. Oh, this one isn't that old. Only 2020. July 2020 was 3 years ago now. This is how Walton feels about 2020 being 3 years ago. That was amazing. I learned so much. I feel so ready for Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 now. A lot of this information is going to slowly seep out of my brain, and we are going to play a couple other games before we go back to Dark Souls, so there is still time for me to become a confused mess. Yet. Hi, Walton. So many things make so much more sense to me now. I'm so glad I watched this one. I really hope that was okay with you. Here, because I know it did reference some other games, but I am still going in blind because I've never played them before. But like I say, I'm kind of tempted to do another Dark Souls run where I do the Dark Path instead. Maybe I'll do New Game Plus on a stream or something. I don't usually stream, it's just recorded Let's Plays, but that might be fun since I've already played the game, so I won't be totally blind anymore. And now I basically know the story, but I would like to see it fulfilled. Now that I know better, huh, Walton? Walton is my dog, by the way. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this. I hope that this was a fun one, and I'm going to watch the Prepare to Cry series next, but the original version, not the newer one, because apparently that also has some spoilery stuff for the later games that I haven't played yet. And thus, my video is over. You now may leave.